Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the beautiful 2020 Mazda 6. Now this is the signature model, meaning it's packing the 2.5-liter turbocharged inline-4 engine, this beautiful soul red crystal paint, and every other gadget and gizmo offered on Mazda's family sedan. So we're just to take it for a quick drive here, talk about the car a bit, what it offers, why it might be worth your money over a lot of other cars in this segment. You get to see some beautiful evening scenery as well. So taking a look at the trunk here, got some nice storage on each side. Throw your milk in there so if it spills coming home from the grocery store, you don't have to clean up the carpet. Look at that, you got a nice compact spare. Not screwing around with inflation kits or Mazda roadside assistance or any of that nonsense. I do really like Mazda's font that they're going with for their newer cars. Looks sharp. Got dual exhaust tips, even though it doesn't matter. I highly doubt they're dual all the way to the front. And then you're greeted with this beautiful Parchment interior, it's called. Come on back. Got a good amount of legroom as a 5'10" person. However, I am sitting a bit upright in the seat. Close the door here. Yeah. I'm decently comfortable. Let's pull this center armrest down. I suppose I've got headroom. Good amount of visibility. I'd be okay back here for a while. Got some cup holders. Got 3-stage heated seat, which is nice. A little bit of storage compartment and two 2.1 amp USB ports, so that's nice to see. And this leather just feels great. Mazda's really stepping up their game. I mean, they have been. This isn't a surprise to anyone who's been following, but just in case you don't know what Mazda's been up to over the last 10 years, they're making all their products really darn nice, especially for the price. We'll take a look at the window sticker, but this thing's coming in at like $37,000. And just take a look here. Let's keep these lights on. Take a look at this interior. You're dealing with this nice leather up front here too, sort of the two-tone, almost white leather, and black up here. This is all sticky and kind of pushes down. Feels good. Absorbs a lot of sound. Looks nice. Everything you touch, super high quality. All the buttons, blinkers, knobs, switches, everything. Feels great. All right, let's fire it up here. Get a little light on the subject. Mazda and their beeps. So you do have a little bit older of the Mazda infotainment screen here, but that does mean it's touchable. So you can select things that way or use the handy dandy center rotary knob here, which I absolutely love. Mazda has a great integration. The system definitely has a little bit of latency, a little bit of delay in some of your actions, and a lot of the graphics don't look quite as up to snuff as in some other vehicles, but still holds its own, and it's still really easy to use, which is nice. I'm actually going to turn off the HVAC. Look at this beautifully displayed HVAC control here. You've got your heated steering wheel, heated seat, cooled seats that actually work quite well, automatic dual zone climate control, and then everything's just a nice, easy to use physical button here. Let's take a look at the window sticker real quick. So like I said, this is the top level signature model, so there really isn't too much in terms of options, but you're getting 23 city, 31 highway for fuel economy, 26 combined, 6-speed automatic transmission, 227 horsepower, 310 pound-feet of torque out of this 2.5-liter turbocharged motor. Out the door, $37,000, $36,915. The only extra things you're paying for are the carpeted cargo mat and the soul red crystal metallic paint. All right, let's get motoring. We can talk some more on the road. You have tilt telescopic steering wheel here. And this is kind of strange. I want to show you, just dim these gauges down. Before I do, you can see you've got a normal analog gauge there, normal analog gauges here, but then a very clearly digital display. You can kind of see the whole cutout there. So it just looks Looks a little silly, but we're going to turn that down. Hopefully it comes up better on the camera, especially as the sun continues to go down. We have a very good head-up display on the Mazda 6. It's a little bit better. There was something about the Mazda CX-30's head-up display that it sort of had a distortion to it. It was hard to see. I didn't like it, but it's definitely better here in the 6. Now, there's a broad assumption I'm making here that if you're watching this video about the Mazda 6, you're kind of interested in it as a model. You're not stumbling upon it and kind of, this isn't your first introduction to the Mazda 6. You must be genuinely interested in getting one, and you're either in the research stage or the final stages, or you already own one. You just want confirmation bias. You want to hear what people have to say about this new model. Maybe you only have the naturally aspirated motor and you're wondering what this one is like. So we're going to talk a little bit about how it drives, how it compares to family sedan segment leaders, and sort of the Mazda isms. Even though my buddy Chris over at the Topher spent a long time in this car and said Mazda doesn't have any Mazda isms. So we were talking about Honda and their Honda isms, and what we mean are just kind of quirky things that sort of transcend all of a brand's models, and they're just sort of weird about all of them across the board. Mazda's got some weird things that are sort of unique to Mazda itself. We're going to talk about them. Fortunately, none of them are egregious. None of them really make the cars any less desirable. One thing I do really like, that's pretty standard across Mazda, is 6-speed automatic transmission. This motor's got so much torque and it's so versatile that you don't need to be hunting around with 8 or 10 different gears. And you also don't get the annoyance of a CVT and kind of the jerky effects, or, I mean, I know a lot of the new CVTs are very smooth, but it sounds better. It sounds a little more casual, I guess, what people are used to listening to. Mazdas also have characteristically heavy steering. It's kind of nice. It's still electric power steering, but it sort of adds a little bit of life into it. It takes a little getting used to at first, especially if you were to sort of be cross-shopping, doing a lot of driving of different vehicles in a day. You'd very likely get into the Mazda 6 and go, oh wow, this steering feels very heavy. I got out of driving the Volvo V60 for a week and then driving this, and I was like, man, it just feels dense, but it actually feels quite good when you load it up into a corner. So we're going to shift it into sport mode here and do a little manual shifting and kind of see what this car's like in some spirited conditions. Now it is a little frustrating. This is a Mazda-ism. Even in manual mode, I got it over here in M and I'm shifting with the pedals. The car still shifts for you. And it's not a very high red line where it shifts, so I mean, you're probably already past the power band, so it's not a huge deal, but it'd be kind of nice if it would hold gears. But this isn't a sports sedan, so you can forgive it a bit. Do a little 0 to 60 and 60 to 0 here. Very uneventful stop. It kind of feel a little bit long, but nothing egregious. Switch off traction control here. Is stability control defeatable? Doesn't seem like it. Alright, let's traction control off. Let's see what it'll do. Pretty healthy amount of wheel spin there. Alright, so that might have not been the fastest launch. Might have had a little bit too much wheel spin, but you get the idea. It pulls. This motor isn't exactly a rocket in the way that Toyota's V6 is, and the Camry, and Honda's 2-liter turbo in the Accord, but it's so grunty and powerful that it still makes for some really fun and engaging driving. another Mazda 6 behind me. So it's not exactly engaging to drive, but you can have fun. You can throw it around, and it still falls below the Accord in terms of driving verve and chassis compliance, but it's so close that for most people it really will not matter. And it's definitely a nicer place to be in here than the Accord. I mean, the Accord interior is nice. Honda does everything well across the board, but the materials don't feel quite up to the level of this Mazda 6. I'd say the closest competitor to this one in terms of interior fittings and fit and finish and feel would be Hyundai's Sonata. I mean, the Sonata's really cool, and they kind of take different approaches at the same issue. Hyundai's Sonata is quirky cool. The steering wheel's different. I mean, the design is very unique and sort of inspiring in that way. The Mazda 6 is a little conservative. I mean, everything's very straightforward, but it all works super well. And I think it sums it up really well when Chris and I were talking after his long road trip, that the more time he spent with this car, the more he liked it. First few days with it, he was just kind of like, it's fine. It's a Mazda sedan, woohoo. But by the time he was coming back on a long 1,000-mile road trip, he really just he started appreciating more and more all the different things that the Mazda 6 has to offer and how well it does them all. So the easy-to-use infotainment screen, the pretty competent cruise control, and the nice steering, and the torquey motor. It all kind of comes together in a package that you really enjoy driving. And I talked about this, and Alyssa and I kind of talked about it with the CX-30 that we reviewed. Mazdas always feel like they're engineered by people engineers who kind of stop and think, okay, forget what focus groups think they want. What do I want behind the wheel? What feels right and feels good for me as a driver? And that translates exactly into this Mazda 6 as well. Nothing feels strange or out of place. So while things like the ride might not be quite as smooth as some other competition, or the engine quite as powerful, or it quite as fuel efficient, or the sound system quite as good. I mean, it's kind of going to give concessions here and there to a lot of different cars, but as an overall driver's car package, it really knocks it out of the park. And still, even though it's an older model than some of these new family sedans. And if there's anything to knock Mazda for, both in this Mazda 6 and just kind of their cars in general, is because so much work was put into making them good driving vehicles, and the cost is also very reasonable, you know there have to be compromises somewhere. And where you see that is sort of the features and quirky technology. You don't see any sort of wireless charging, you don't have fancy multicolor ambient lighting. The gauges, they're pretty good, but they don't tell you nearly as much fancy info as some other vehicles in this class. And same goes for the infotainment screen. It doesn't do as many silly things. But to a lot of people, that doesn't really matter. You don't get a panoramic sunroof. You do have auto-dimming outside mirrors. That's nice to see. Is there a 3D camera? Yep, there is a 360 camera, so that's also nice to see. And it's kind of cool that you can bring it up while you're driving at this speed. I wonder how long it stays up. Okay, so about 10 seconds. Makes sense. So while I bring that up, that there are some features that Mazda's lacking, it isn't really so much as a criticism, but more as just to make sure I'm covering the whole gamut of considerations when considering Mazda's 6 family sedan. I also don't know... No, there are. I was wondering if there are memory seats, and there are. stereo system is pretty decent. It's a Bose system, and pretty much all Boses across the lineup, regardless of the vehicle, they all sound pretty darn good. They're all like kind of a B+ audio system, so you really know what you're going to get, and this Mazda 6 is no different. If you want to know more about the audio system, check out the link in the description. There will be an audio system test. We go in depth and check it out with some demo tracks and everything. So this week has been crazy. Got to spend a lot of seat time in the new Ram 2500 diesel, and that's because doing a lot of moving, including Alyssa. For those of you who watch the channel, she is moving in with me, so fun and exciting stuff there. But that means a lot of time taken up with silly little things that I'll have to get taken care of for moving, so fitting these reviews in when we can, as well as shooting for Winding Road. Those of you who don't know, that also do those videos. So we're going to come off here as I'm in the middle of running errands. We're going to find a good spot to stop and wrap this video up. Braking feels good in the 6, no surprise there. Fun fact, that's actually a Toyota Research and Development Center here in, I don't know where if it's technically Saline or Milan, Michigan, but it's there nonetheless. So even though the lighting's low, we're going to pull into this parking lot and make this wrap happen. Get to see the curving headlights here on the Mazda 6. They look great. They light things up well. You can see brights, very bright. What a good little car. Probably does not get the recognition it deserves. But man, I would be 100% happy with this being in my driveway every day, especially how good it looks. It does have Mazda's new key, which is the one thing I'm not really a fan of that Mazda did recently. It's got this flat, hard plastic key with the buttons on the side, rather than its kind of nice, original feeling, sort of USB looking key that it used to have. So, hope you guys are able to get a good idea of the Mazda 6 here. Hopefully you can still see it. Like I said, check out that sound system review if you want to know more about the Bose system here in the Mazda 6 Signature. If you liked the video, please hit that subscribe button, like button, all the good affirmations that there are on YouTube. Check out some of our other videos. Definitely got a bunch on there. We got the Sonata, we've got the Camry, even though it's TRD. Love to get an Accord in here soon, but I think this Mazda 6 really sits right up at the top of them. Anyways, we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.